Hello and welcome to another episode of Bassin with Captain Lou. Today is part 3 of frog fishing basics for beginners. And as you can see, I'm on the deck of my boat here, and I have several goodies out for display for you all. And the reason for it is because this video is strictly talking about the nuts and bolts as far as the type of gear that one should be considering when they take up frog fishing for the very first time, or if you've taken up frog fishing already. Some of these details will help you maybe fine-tune some things where you may be questioning why it's not working for you or not. So here we are, okay? And I'm going to be talking about 3 things in particular. One is the rod, the actions of the rod, and the powers of the rod. 2 is the types of reel that I recommend. And then lastly, it is the type of fishing line that I'm going to recommend. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. I don't plan on this video being very long, but very informative, and to clear up some things and to help inform you guys as far as making that best decision as far as what rod to get. And the rods I'm going to be talking specifically about are Dobbins rods. These rods are unbelievable. I've been fishing Dobbins before I even became a member in Ultimate Bass. I've been fishing Dobbins, man, I would say now for over 12 years now I've been fishing Dobbins, and they are an unbelievable rod. They come in different series, and the series that I'm talking about specifically is the Champion line of rods. However, amongst the family of series that they have similar numbers to it. So for example, in this particular case, I'm going to be talking about a 735, okay, medium heavy fishing rod. So now you can find a 735 in the Champion series, you can find a 735 in the Fury series, you can find a 735 in the Sierra, Ecstasy, so forth and so on, okay? And they generally work the same. Some of the lines may be a little bit different. So the one that I'm going to be talking about are going to be 2 of them, and that's going to be the Champion and also a Sierra. That's a little bit different in action, but not by much. So 735 Champion. This particular rod is a 7'3", okay, 5 power, meaning the numbers go from 1 through 6, and 6 being the highest, 6 being the strongest, and then I'm 1 level below on this particular series, which is the 5 series in this particular example. And why the 5 series? So like I mentioned, it's a medium heavy, okay? It leans more towards a heavy than it does a medium. But the reason for that is because when you're frog fishing, and depending on the type of cover you're focusing on, you need a strong rod to help you get that bass out of cover quickly, okay? And in this particular case, the 735 shines anywhere between light to moderate cover, okay? However, it doesn't do too bad in the heavy stuff. However, when I fish heavy stuff, so I want a little bit more of an insurance policy, and I go for this rod series' big brother, which is the 736, but I'll talk about this rod in a moment. So going back to the 735, this, again, it's a medium heavy rod, and in this case, it's a fast action. It has a fast action tip. And what do I mean by that? A fast action tip means on the last quarter end of the rod here, you're going to notice that the rod tip has a little bit of a give to it, okay? And the reason for it is because when you lay into the fish, it's going to have a little bit of a give, okay, on the tip of it. However, as you continue to lay into that fish, you're going to feel the meat and potatoes of that rod start taking shape. And you're going to feel that you're going to have full control of that bass towards the half, well, the 3/4 end and down. You're going to feel the power of this particular blank in your hands. And that's why I highly recommend for anybody considering frog fishing, especially in the Dobbins line, the 735 series, anywhere between light to medium cover. Again, you can use it in medium cover. You can use it in heavy cover. However, I recommend it in the light to medium class of cover. Now, if you're going to be fishing heavy stuff, okay, and what I mean by heavy stuff, I mean heavy matted vegetation, heavy grass cover, mats, timber, heavy cover. And again, I'll go into those specific details on my last video, but when you're fishing heavy cover, I strongly recommend its big brother, the Champion 736. I mean, this guy right here, it's a great rod. It's light in the hand, but when you start handling it, you feel that you have a beast of a rod in your hand. This guy right here could pull bass out of some serious cover. And again, I can't say enough about this 736 Dobbins. And as you can see here, I have another rod on the deck, but I want to stop for a second and pause. I'm pausing because I believe that an angler should have at least 2 frog rods, and here's the reason why. Frog fishing, and I don't want to get too advanced here, frog fishing, an individual who frog fishes can, and they'll attest to this, a frog can be thrown a considerable distance. Very, very far. I'm talking plus 50 yards. I mean, when you bomb one, you could really bomb a frog. Okay? And however, you could also play the short game. And when I mean short game, I'm talking about anywhere between 20 yards and closer is the short game. When it comes to the short game, rods that are anywhere between 7 feet to 7.3, okay, in this case, like I mentioned, these first 2 rods, the 735s, these rods do very, very well in the short game, in the short to medium range, okay, especially the 7.3s. Why? Because you have a longer rod, which is going to give you a lot more leverage because of for the length of that rod. However, if you're a launcher, you like to launch frogs. I have a tendency sometimes to want to launch frogs, okay? You got to have physics working on your side. So in this particular case, here's where I would recommend a 7'6" rod. Yes, you heard me correctly. It is a 7'6". In this particular case, it's a Sierra flipping stick. However, it can be used quite well as a frogging rod. And this one is a 736 Sierra. Okay? And, nope, I'm sorry guys, it's not. It is a it is a 765. So it's a 7.6 medium heavy rod. And this guy right here will launch a frog. I mean, it will launch it. But the flip side to that is that when a bass hits in those farther distances, and I'm talking about plus 30 yards and farther away, when you reel down on that bass and you set that hook with that 7'6" rod here, you're going to have enough leverage to stick the bass well, reel up on that bass, and have quite a fun battle on your hands getting that bass in from that distance. My confidence is a lot higher when I'm using a 7.6 in farther distances than I am with a 7'3" or a 7 for that matter. Okay, and that's the reason why I recommend these different rods due to the distances that you might be considering. Now moving on to my next topic, the reels. The reel is a very important tool because you're going to need to winch that bass out of that heavy cover and have good gearing to be able to handle and fight that fish with this particular technique. This technique is not for the weak-hearted. You got to really lay into a fish and fight them well, and you're going to need a very strong reel for that. And in this particular case, I'm showcasing this Scorpion reel. It's a Scorpion DC. Many reels can fit the bill, but in this particular case, I have a Shimano tied on, a Shimano DC Scorpion. However, the ratios are the ones I want you guys to be paying attention to, and that is that in this particular case, it's a 7.3 model, or it's a 7.3 gear ratio. And the reason for it's a 7.3 is because when I stick that fish, I want to have the speed to be able to get that fish into the boat as quickly as possible, but also have the gearing in place so that I'm able to winch that fish and fight hand in hand with the rod, and the combo feeds off each other. Okay, so again, you're looking for a 7.3 ratio of rod. Okay, you can go into an 8 series. The rods reels are getting faster. An 8 series can suit the bill as well. I personally have not fished with an 8 series yet. Most of my series are in the 7-1 ratio and a little bit higher in the 7 gears, and I have done quite well with them. Okay, in this particular reel, this is going to be more in my advanced videos, but since it's on camera, I like to personally modify my handles again, due to leverage and due to the winching power, and I go with a slightly longer handle. But again, I'm not going to get into these particular topics until I start talking or start recording my advanced series. But again, if you see this here, it's a longer than usual handle, and that's for that extra oomph or that extra reeling power. I just like a longer handle. So again, you're looking for a 7 series or a 7-speed rod, or I'm sorry, a 7-speed reel. Okay, and then the last order of business here is the fishing line. As you can see here, I have braid tied on. For me, braid is a non-negotiable topic when it comes to this technique. I do not recommend any other type of line for this specific technique unless it's braid, okay? And in this particular case, my minimum weight of line that I use is either 40 pounds, and that's if I'm fishing light to moderate cover. But if I'm fishing moderate to heavy cover, my go-to line is 50 pounds. In this particular case, I've been throwing Power Pro for a very, very long time. No, I'm not sponsored by them. It's a fishing line that has been reliable to me for over 15, 20 years now, and it's a bulletproof line for me. So again, Power Pro 50 pounds is my minimum. Why 50-pound braid? Okay, because 50-pound braid is equivalent to 12-pound mono. And the reason why it's 50 pounds, I mean, 50 pounds is a considerable amount of weight as far as braid goes. I mean, I have personally yet to bust or to break off 50 pounds or snap off 50 pounds, okay? So the reason why I choose 50 is because it is the highest weight that I could get away with, that I could cast the rod smoothly and considerable distances. A lot of people like 65-pound braid. There is nothing wrong with 65-pound braid. 65-pound braid, in my humble opinion, is a little bit too thick and it has a ropey feel. Distances are not quite the same. Okay, yes, you can lay into the bass pretty well with 65 pounds, but I honestly think you could do the same thing with a 50 if you hook set it with moderation and not try to take down a Mack truck. So a 50-pound line will do just as well, and your casting will be a lot smoother and a lot farther compared to anything above the 50 class, because there's 65 and there's even 80. I'm not even going to get into those. 50-pound is my minimum, and I'm sorry, 50-pound is my go-to, 40-pound is my minimum. But if you're going to be fishing moderate to heavy stuff, 50-pound braid is the way to go for me. So like I said, guys, the video is a short one. I just covered some important details as far as the type of rods that you should be considering, the type of reel that you should be considering, and the type of fishing line you should be considering. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the information, subscribe. If you don't, that's fine too, but please share the video. And if you have any questions or comments, you could always take advantage of the comment section below, and let's have a conversation about this topic. However, in the meantime, be on the lookout for video number 4, and this is where I'm going to be talking about, or I'm going to be tying in everything. The last 3 videos will be tied in this video, and I'm going to go into the where to throw the frog, how to throw the frog. I'm actually going to do my best, even with this broken finger, to be on the water, and maybe a bank fishing series or episode where I'll be on the water and demonstrating to you guys the different ways you can work this frog and the type of cover you should be looking at. So please stay tuned for the next video. I appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care of yourselves.